Good morning, my friends. I hope you are having a wonderful, beautiful day so far. It is cold here in Green Bay. Oh my goodness. Got some nice warm tea. I've got my heater going, my humidifier going. Andy's got a little bit of a cold, so I am doing all the things to make sure that I stay healthy because ain't nobody got time for that. Not in this business. Well, if we have not met before, I am Kate. I am the owner and lead photographer for Clem Studios. We specialize in weddings, boudoir, love stories, all the beautiful things that make a relationship lovely and make you just empowered and fantastic. So for the past few weeks, essentially since the beginning of this year, we've been doing a live video series on essentially the wedding planning process, which might be strange coming from a photographer, but we have seen so much over the past 10 years that we thought it would just be a disservice if we didn't share this information with the masses, because what's in our brains is just free knowledge for you guys. So today I want to share how to simplify your wedding planning in 10 easy steps. And first step, if you've been following along for the past couple weeks, I mentioned how having a wedding vision is so important, knowing what you do want to have happen, what you don't want to have happen, that kind of thing. So again, I'm going to start with number one, always go back to your wedding vision, keeping yourself aligned and on that path of what you visualized when you sat down and took some time to think about what actually matters to me. What do we want our wedding day to look like? When you stay in alignment with that, that makes it super easy to say yes or no to other vendors or ideas or suggestions that come up, because you are going to be so rock solid in knowing, yes, this is the perfect fit for the wedding day that we're creating, or that's probably not in alignment, great idea, but thanks anyway. So number one, always go back to your vision. Number two, if you're able to, hire a wedding planner or a day of coordinator. A wedding planner is going to take a lot more off your plate than a day of coordinator will, because they're going to essentially hear what's important to you and take care of so much of that. But as far as a day of coordinator, we hired a day of coordinator for our wedding, the wonderful Nicole Shu of She Be But Little. And what was important to us, and the reason that we hired a day of coordinator, is because we didn't want to have to, no, I said that right. We didn't want to worry about anything on our wedding day as far as like who's moving these chairs from our ceremonial location into our reception, or who's going to move the decor, or who's going to make sure we're lined up in time and everybody is where they need to be. Because oftentimes if you don't have a day of coordinator, that kind of coordination role can fall on the bride, that can fall on the mother bride, that can fall on the photographer. And that just affects the experience for either you or the mother of the bride. Or if your photographer is focused on that, they're sometimes missing photographable moments of, if they're telling you guys when to walk down the aisle, maybe they're not seeing your mom crying when she sees you for the first time because they were put in that kind of coordination role. So hiring a wedding planner or a day of coordinator is going to take a load off of you for sure. Number three, stay organized. I am a spreadsheet queen. My fellow boss tribe that kind of make fun of me for that, but I love my spreadsheets. And with our wedding, we have a spreadsheet for our budget. We have a spreadsheet for the vendors that we're working with, a spreadsheet for our wedding day timeline, which y'all know, if I am a photographer who creates wedding timelines for my couples, you bet your sweet little bottom that I had that thing created way farther in advance than was necessary, but it's made me feel really good about that. And within that, we also have just a general Google Drive folder where we're gathering some ideas for like our ceremony script. We're keeping that master spreadsheet, and then any other miscellaneous things that we need. If somebody sends us a digital contract, then I'm downloading it and uploading it to that Google Drive folder just so that it's all in one place, that I don't have to go, scrounging around trying to find things like that. And then another tool that I'm using, that it's definitely a business tool, but I love using it for personal reasons too, is Asana. Asana is a task management, organizer system. It's an online program software. I'm not sure what the right word is, but we use that for on our business back end. And then I have a whole board, they're called, in Asana for personal items. And I have one specifically for our wedding. And what that allows me to do is when I think of something that I have to do yet, like get posted for our invitations, which are going to go out very soon. I'm so excited. I can't wait for them to arrive. So reminding myself to get postage, I can make a task in Asana. I can assign it to myself so that I actually see it. And then I can assign a date for that to happen. So I have that by when will I have it completed, because that completion part is another huge way to simplify that wedding planning, just knowing that it's done and being able to move on from there. So that's tip number 3, is stay organized. Tip number 4 is when you are vendor shopping, read reviews, but read them with a grain of salt. I know that when I worked in the wedding industry, I was flabbergasted sometimes by the things that people would leave a negative review about, like if they didn't like their server's haircut or things like that. I mean, come on, people. So take some of them with a grain of salt. But I do think that there are really great nuggets and really great points to be made in those reviews. If somebody doesn't have a lot of reviews, that can sometimes be, either a sign that that's just not where they put a lot of their priority and their time and energy into asking for those. Or if they have a lot of reviews, but they're a little bit more negative, that I think would be worth considering if it's just an overwhelming theme, or if they have a lot of reviews and they're really, really positive. I would say that that's a little bit more trustworthy vendor to go with. So read the reviews with a grain of salt. And I mean, on that same note, ask people if one of your friends recently got married, or if you know somebody that worked with somebody, say, like, hey, what was your experience with this person? Because I firmly believe that, as photographers, I know that the service that we offer, it's just not going to resonate with everybody. Well, hi, Miss Maya. Coming to barge in. Miss Maya wants to say hi to everyone. I know that what we offer isn't necessarily the best fit for everybody, because we do, we include an engagement session, we have 2 photographers, and we're very much focused towards couples that are really, really deeply in love. They want to show a ton of that emotion rather than just somebody standing by to click the shutter and take some photos. So we know that that's not right for everyone. So when you're asking people who have recently got married or they worked with someone, what was your experience? Just kind of, again, take that with a grain of salt. Think about what your priorities are, what you were looking for in a vendor, and just think of how that's relevant to the experience that you're looking for. So that's tip number 4, is read reviews and ask for suggestions. And I will end that with a kind of caveat of, when you're asking for suggestions, I would limit the asking for suggestions, because when you're wedding planning, people are more than happy to share opinions, and it can be very easy to get overwhelmed by the amount of suggestions and ideas that you're being given. So maybe limit the number of suggestions that you ask for to keep yourself in a very nice, easy, relaxed space and mindset. Number 5 is trust your gut. You know what is the right fit for you. You know what is going to make your wedding day the best day ever, and you're going to know, when essentially like a red flag is coming up, or if it's just kind of out of alignment with what your vision is. Your soul and your inside is going to be telling you, like, yes, this is what we're looking for, or this might not be the right fit. And when we do listen to our gut, that makes that decision super simple. We can just choose and move on. When we're ignoring our gut, we're putting more time and energy into that contemplation, and we're not trusting ourselves to make that right decision for us, which can then lead to some of that kind of chaotic, anxious energy. But when we just listen to, okay, this feels really good inside me. I might not know how I'm going to make this happen at this moment, or I'm not sure what the next steps are, but I'm trusting that I'm going to be able to figure it out. And you move from there. That feels really, really great. And you get a ton of closure and like a sense inside of you, rather than kind of hemming and hawing, like, oh, well, I talked to this person, vendor-wise, but maybe I should talk to this person too. And I don't know, I really liked them, but I feel like I don't know enough, or I didn't talk to enough people. Just listen to what feels good inside you, no matter what the decision is. Trust your gut and go with that. Tip number 6 would be look for a little bit more all-inclusive vendors if you can, especially when it comes to like your venue and catering, especially. I'm trying to think like kind of off the top of my head who else would make the most sense to be all-inclusive. But with a venue, if you can find a venue that's providing your tables, your chairs, some of them will even provide linens, the flatware. They might have some rentals available as far as like decor and that kind of thing. When you can keep everything under one house or one vendor and you can just build that relationship with that person and ask those questions, that is a lot easier than having to go out, find a new vendor for your linen rentals, then a new vendor for your flatware or whatever it may be. And then same thing with catering too. If you're bringing food in somewhere, if they provide you with, the flatware and the utensils and plates and that kind of thing, that makes it a lot easier than having to find a rental company to bring those things in. And again, with this, trust your gut. If it feels like a good fit and the right decision for you, then definitely go with those a little bit more all-inclusive vendors. Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say on that thought. I thought I was going to have one more thing to say with that. Number 8 would be look at the connections that you already have. Is your cousin a wicked harpist? And if so, you could reach out to him or her and say, hey, we love you. We want to have a really personal, awesome wedding experience. Would you be willing to play at our ceremony and maybe like our cocktail or something like that? And if they say yes, then you get to check that box on ceremony musician and cocktail hour musician. And you've also found a really kind of local to you, warm connection, somebody that means something to you. And that just makes it all the more personal. And any way that you can bring in those touches, your wedding day is going to feel so special to you when you're in the moment, when you're looking back on that a year from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now. You're going to be able to talk about all of those personal pieces that you pulled in. So look at the connections that you already have, see who you can work with for your wedding day. And sometimes maybe you're able to get something at, a little bit lower price if it's, family or a friend or that kind of thing. If it's somebody who, I don't know, makes cupcakes on the side and that's just kind of their passion project. Maybe you can just help each other out in that way. What number I'm on? Number 9 would be delegate. Delegation is so huge when it comes to simplifying your wedding planning. So finding, let's say day of for your wedding, if you can delegate somebody to put out your programs and make sure that all the ceremony decor is in place, and then delegate somebody to go put the boutonnieres on the groomsmen and that kind of thing, anything and everything that you can delegate that does not need your actual hands on it, do it. Because then you just get to be in a space of, I feel so good. I am ready to be celebrated. I am ready to marry the absolute love of my life. And you just have space to feel those emotions and be in that place rather than thinking about, oh my gosh, like I can't wait to see them. Oh, but I also need to put out the wedding programs, and then I need to think about the seating chart, and then we need to move the chairs from the ceremony to the reception, and blah, 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 blah. And that mile-long list, when you're able to delegate and share that with somebody else, and probably multiple somebodies, that makes your life a whole lot easier, and people are going to be falling over themselves wanting to help you on your wedding day. They love being involved. They love making sure that you are having a great time. And this is also where, that wedding planner and that day of coordinator can come in. They are like your go-tos for delegation. And then number 10, I would say, is remember why you're doing this. Remember why you're having a wedding day. Because you have found this person that is willing to put up with your shit and love you dearly and wants to spend the rest of their life with you. And they're your best friend, they're your partner in crime, and you get to commit the rest of your life to one another and just growing that relationship, being on that journey, and adventuring together. So remember the whole reason for this, because it doesn't need to be about, if your cake had 3 tiers or 4 tiers, and it didn't have to be about if your napkins were maroon or cherry red. It's about why you're there in that relationship and how grateful you are that you found this person, and just knowing that your relationship has changed your life and it's possibly an inspiration to other people out there too. So to recap, how to simplify your wedding planning in 10 easy steps. The first would be always go back to your vision. Know what's important to you on that wedding day, what you want to have happen, what you don't want to have happen. Always have that be rock solid, forefront of your mind, the place that you always go to when you're making a decision. Number 2 would be if you're able to hire a wedding planner or a day of coordinator. They are going to take care of so many small tasks, big tasks, tasks you're not even thinking of for you, and they are so on your team. Number 3 would be stay organized, either with spreadsheets, keeping all of your documents in one place, using a task manager like Asana, whatever needs to happen to keep you organized and calm and collected. Number 4 would be read reviews and ask for suggestions with a grain of salt and within reason, just so you can get a really good grasp of that, so that then you can, number 5, trust your gut when you're making those decisions. Listen to that voice inside, listen to what feels good, and just know that if you want to work with somebody or there's a choice that you want to make, maybe you have a wedding shower, maybe you don't, maybe you go with matching bridesmaid dresses, maybe you don't. Just trusting your gut and knowing that if that's the choice that you want to make, you're going to figure it out no matter what it takes. Number 6 would be look for some kind of all-inclusive vendors with maybe it's a venue that's got the tables and chairs, or the caterer that's bringing in all the utensils and the flatware. Any ways that they're checking one more thing off your list for you and keeping that all under one umbrella, one team, and you're building that relationship with them and you've already kind of got that rapport built up, that makes it way easier than having to go out and find another vendor for that. Number 7, I might have skipped this before, so we're going to plug it in here right now, would be trust your vendors. Once you choose to work with somebody, and if you've trusted your gut, this part will be really, really easy. Just knowing that these vendors are in their zone of genius and they've probably seen a lot more weddings than you have, so they know the different situations that can come up, that kind of thing. So just trust them to do the job that you've hired them to do. And if you have any questions, of course, ask them and, give suggestions or ideas, that kind of thing. It's a two-way street, but let them do what they are meant to do and what they do so well. Number 8 would be look at your connections. Who do you know that you can work with that's close to you, that's going to make your wedding day even more special? Whether it's, your cousin that's the harpist, or if you have a friend that their side hustle is making cupcakes, whatever it may be, see who you already know, because that relationship is already there. And I'm sure they would love to be a part of your wedding day. Number 9 would be delegate. Anything that you can pass off and ask somebody else for help, do that. That makes a lot more brain space in your head for you. That keeps you in that mindset of, this is my wedding. I am so excited. I can't wait to celebrate, which leads us to number 10. Remember why you're doing this. When you know that at the end of the day, you are going to be married to one of your favorite people on the planet, everything else is kind of not insignificant, but it kind of reminds you of why you're doing it and what's really important and where you should put your energy and where you can kind of skip some energy, I guess. All right, so those are our 10 easy steps to simplifying your wedding planning. If you have any questions on wedding planning or wedding photography, feel free to reach out to me. If you know somebody that's getting married that really deserves and is looking for a heart-centered, loving photography experience that lets them be themselves, if they're super adventurous, we would love to work with them. Please feel free to either tag them below, send us a private message or an email. My personal email is kate@clemstudios.com. And if this video helped you, go ahead and give it a like or drop a comment, because that lets us know that what we're putting out there is relevant, it matters to you guys, and that helps us figure out what content we should be creating and what we can kind of skip over. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Stay warm if you are in the northern part of the country like we are, and I will talk to you soon.